So, good morning. I'm Dr. Robert Young, and I don't know why I'm laughing about that, but
Well, we know who you are.
maybe that's why. I'm
We've
not
listened.
sure.
We've listened.
But uh, today we're going to be talking. Why don't you introduce yourself,
Yeah.
just so we have that on the recording, okay?
And you might recall I sent you an email, expressing our gratitude for you and what you're offering.
Well, thank you. I mean,
Remember?
Yeah,
I thrive on helping people. It seems to be my nature and purpose of my existence.
Yeah.
It's not an easy road that I've traveled.
No.
This is not about me, but I just, grateful for the opportunity whenever I have a chance to
And,
try to help people. So
yeah,
go ahead. Yeah.
Up battle against the medical system. I know.
it's a mafia.
But
Yeah, we both work. Our work is also helping people, more with
mental health.
mental health, trauma,
Yeah.
spiritual health.
Well, we've all been traumatized sometime in our life by someone or something.
Yes.
Yeah, so we
you
work
know,
on that end. We work on that end because we feel that the trauma also causes an acidic environment. So that's
Absolutely.
another-
So I don't know if this is right and how you feel, but I feel that I really have a choice. I can either be bitter or I can be better. I can be a victim or I can be victorious in living a life, a meaningful life, and focus on not what I've lost or what I don't have, but what I do have,
Yes.
and be grateful and express my gratitude for that.
Yeah.
All that seems good.
Yeah, amen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know how anybody survives. And most people don't. I mean, particularly when they've been incarcerated with these restrictions that have gone on, unnecessary restrictions which have gone on
Right.
with this COVID uh,
Right.
pandemic. But the bottom line is that it's allowed the opportunity and with the technology to be able to have these types of conversations, to be
Right.
able to help ourselves and help other people.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of that going on. There was a real fight against the darkness. It's trying to take over.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to win, but it's going to be a battle.
Oh, I know that we're going to win. It's just we know what the end result of all this, which is going to be positive. It's just the obstacles in getting there.
Right.
And that's really the challenge. It's not the end result, whether you're dealing with your health, mental health, or physical health, or even spiritual health. It's the journey, and it's the experience, and being able to overcome obstacles as you're going along the way, because those actually can be good for you.
That's how we grow, right?
Yeah, you can learn from that. I mean,
Yeah.
how many people have been diagnosed with cancer and overcome that through making lifestyle changes and extending the quality and quantity of their life.
Right.
Sure.
They can go that. Yeah. Some of them go that way.
And also the traumas that I've experienced certainly opened my heart, and I became a lot more compassionate person because of it. Because
Well,
of
see, I think that's what we hope for humanity, is not to close hearts, but to open hearts.
Yeah.
absolutely.
And because the dark side has no solutions,
No.
for being happy. That side wants us to be miserable. They want us to have pain. They want us to suffer, and they also want us to die.
Yeah,
That's
there's,
right.
There's something very
Well, they want many
sadistic
of us to
in-
die and the rest to be their slaves.
Well, I'm not. I've never been one to follow the crowd. I kind of, what is the saying? I have a drum and I beat my drum differently than most people, but
Yeah,
I used to cause my professors, my teachers, a lot of heartache because I would question not only their intelligence and their education, but their authority.
well, the people that are questioning everything and questioning authority are the ones that are going to help turn it around.
They're
You
the
know,
ones that are waking up.
the sheeple that aren't questioning anything are not going to go off the cliff if they don't wake up. You know,
Yeah, and look at all the good that is being done after people fall off the cliff and fall and seriously injure themselves, and all the wonderful good that's being done, and the ambulances are there, and the doctors are there. Why don't you just put up a fence, and protect people from jumping off the cliff?
right,
It's just,
right. Well, they're dark and diabolical. They don't think in those terms, so we have to turn things.
unfortunately, we honor these people based on their experience, and they think they're doing good, and they are doing good. But the cure to any disease is not found in its treatment; it's found in its prevention. And the
Right.
prevention of disease is very simple.
Yeah.
Stop doing what you're doing.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, we're 100% on board with you. We can start there. Is that we've listened to you quite a bit, and the last time we listened to you was with Foster Gamble recently. We're on his Freedom Portal.
What did you
And,
think of that? I'm not talking about my presentation, but the content of the presentation. Did you?
We thought it was, yeah, we thought it was excellent.
So what did you learn from that?
Well, a lot of it we already know.
Okay.
Because we've been exploring this for a long time. What did we learn new? I mean, we already listened to you quite a bit. So.
One of the things that I would say I learned was one of the points that Del made was that it's not all that helpful to speak to the choir, but it's really helpful to turn somebody out who's not in the choir, turn their head around so they start singing with us. And so to be willing to engage in those challenging conversations is really helpful.
Yeah, and we weren't aware, at least I wasn't aware so much of what David spoke about, the financial situation.
That was all new.
That what they're trying to do while everybody's paying attention to COVID, with the financial takeovers and transfer of wealth. So I wasn't aware of that.
And the content that you shared just reinforced it. As we were watching it, I was watching Lynn Marie and her head is nodding as you were speaking. And I realized that she was really getting, when I read your book, when I heard you speak and when I read PH Miracle, I understood that nutrition, the only meaning for nutrition is to create an internal environment that optimizes function. And
that's beautifully said.
Optimizes the amount of energy that's available to the organism, and that the kinds of diet and tastes we've become addicted to are not helpful, and it's misguided.
Yeah,
she really came on board with that.
Well, we have
we heard you
speak.
I've
heard you so many times, and that time was just solidified it more deeply, because we both have food addictions. We come from alcoholic families, and we have,
we're sugar addicted.
We've done a lot of work on ourselves, but we have to. This diet's not going to be easy to do, so we have to really have a deep understanding, and we do. Yeah. We understand.
Yeah, and so we've already eliminated meat, carbs, milk products, sugar, and what else?
Well, the top
coffee and tea.
The 10 things we're referring to is what you had in your book of the top 10 things that cause allergic and acidic reactions, which I think were all sugars, meat and shellfish. Do you have that
milk
list?
Products, but I didn't print that out, and the book's upstairs. So
You're
eggs.
talking about corn, peanuts, mushroom, vinegar,
Yes, yes,
Right,
yes,
right.
yes. yes.
chicken, pork, fish, cheese, eggs.
Yeah, those 10.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah,
eliminated all of
those,
those.
We're done with them.
And alcohol and coffee.
And
alcohol, coffee, tea, black tea.
black
I
tea.
did had for breakfast, I had uh, it's called I-Juice ginger turmeric.
Uh-huh.
I took a scoop of that, added it with almond milk, and that was breakfast this morning.
Yeah, so we've made we decided, became clear about doing this in the beginning of October. So it's been about 2.5 months that we've been transitioning off of all of these things.
Yeah.
And now we're coming into kind of the dead of winter and the darkness. And so this is a great time to go into your intensive cleansing period for 2 months.
Because it's cold.
But at the same time, we have
You ready to go into hibernation, are you? Like a bear?
So we think we might have to wait. We wanted to see what
We
you
wanted
thought.
to talk to you about that, about whether we should wait for spring, because our pH hasn't gone up that much,
No,
but we're still eating ghee and a gluten-free bread,
seed bread. Yeah,
a gluten-free
it's
seed
one of
bread.
my emotional attachments. But other than that, I've let go of all sugar and fruit. And that I did a little bit of a detox on that. That was significant, letting go of the sugar.
Well, you haven't gone off all fruits. You can
Right.
eat peppers, and you can have cucumbers, and you can have avocado, and you can have tomato.
Well, aside from the
Yeah.
We're enjoying avocado, tomato, and cucumber.
and grapefruit.
It's interesting that
But even
the Hispanic culture does not have, for men and for women, do not have reproductive disorders. They're minimal compared to the American the diet that creates prostate or uterine outfectious conditions. Inflammation is one of those that leads to cancers,
why
that
do you
leads to
think that
cysts,
is?
that leads to
Is that
tumor.
because of the peppers?
Because of
No,
what?
it's the lycopene, it's the lutein, it's very powerful antioxidants within those foods that far outweigh any sort of acidic contributing factors that reduces inflammation. Tomatoes, of course, the ones that I recommend are the heirloom tomatoes because they're more meaty. So for people that say, well, I want something of more substance, that and they're still into chewing, because we started at a very young age and about this chewing thing, and what comes from that is an addiction, a habit that we need to be chewing on something. And so when you're on the cleanse, the idea or the concept there is that you chew your liquids. And the reason why you just don't, let's say, puree a food and swallow it is because you want to mix it with an alkaline compound called sodium bicarbonate, which is being secreted by the salivary glands, which is supplied by the stomach. The salivary glands is part of the alkaline buffering system, which is not in any medical text, but the alkaline buffering system's function is to maintain the alkaline design of the body. So the key here when you're doing a cleanse is not to fast, but to feast. So the cleansing is a process of allowing the body to naturally cleanse itself. And you do that through opening up the channels of elimination. Women have 5, men have 4. So we have urination, defecation, perspiration, respiration. For women, unless you're menopausal, is menstruation. So menstruation is a way a woman cleanses her body in preparation for pregnancy. Okay? Because if you have a toxic acidic body, this will cause a miscarriage. And so the body cleanses itself each month, where men don't have that benefit. because we're not preparing our bodies for birth of a new life.
Yeah.
So women have that orifice of which and that cycle of cleansing that happens every month, which is very good, even though it may be inconvenient. But some women become very, very depressed when their menstruation stops. The reason for that is because they're not cleansing, and those acids build up, which leads to more cranial interstitium acidity. It affects your whole system.
How long does it take to clear the interstitium?
Well, you'll know it's cleared when your pH is up in the
6.4s
and 9s. So when the body's throwing off more alkalinity than acidity.
And that's
So the fact that you're in 6s means that we're not there yet.
Well, certainly not.
Okay.
and it hasn't gone up even with all those changes.
Oh, I've gotten to up as high as, well, she's gotten some purple
that's
on the
saliva.
pH, on saliva with pH strips.
Is that good?
And I've gotten dark green. So
Well, usually purple shows up in the saliva when you're thinking about food because it's secreting sodium bicarbonate, or it's raised because you've just taken the 4 salts, or naturally, of course, if in the morning, if you test your saliva, generally it will be less than that ideal number of 8.4, but it'll be less than 7.4. So this is what I would suggest there in answer to cleansing.
Yeah.
Is that number one, you can eat as much of the alkaline foods that are on the list as you want. But the rule is that all the food, except there's exceptions. The exceptions are avocados and tomatoes and cucumbers, which are high water, and peppers, which are high water content foods. You can have those as snack, but ideally, you want to chew your liquids, or if you're not willing to liquefy your food, then you have to chew your food 50 times before you swallow. But that takes up too much energy. So what you need to do there then is, rather than using your teeth to masticate the food, is you use a Vitamix to masticate your food. So what's the difference? There's really no difference, other than when most people are drinking something that's liquid, they swallow it rather than put it in their mouth and swish it around and alkalize it with the saliva, which is secreting sodium bicarbonate to raise the pH up to the ideal pH for biological transformation of that food into stem cells in the crypts of the small intestine. That's the whole purpose of the stomach. That's the whole purpose of the glands that we have, whether it's the salivary glands or the pylorus glands. The whole purpose is to raise the pH of the whatever you've ingested. It's not to digest the food.
Right.
The stomach doesn't digest food. Its purpose is to alkalize the food. But the Germans came up with this etiology, this theory, because when they measured the fluids, after food had left, what they were picking up is the residue of the hydrochloric acid, and they came to the conclusion that the body was secreting hydrochloric acid to break down the food. And this happened. Yeah, it's called the Warburg effect. And the way they tested it, they actually took a testing device and put it down, the esophagus into the stomach to measure the pH of that, and came to a false conclusion. That's like measuring the smoke of a fire and saying the smoke is good for you. Hydrochloric acid is a byproduct of sodium bicarbonate production.